Hello everyone, welcome back to Sleepy Stories. I know you use this video to fall asleep, so before that, like the video and subscribe to the channel, comment where you are from and what time you're watching. Now get comfortable and relax. On the edge of the village of Eld Hollow, just past the weeping sycamores and before the woods where birds never sing, there is a crooked old house that nobody remembers building. It's never on maps. The old women who sell root pies in the square squint when you mention it. No such place, they say, turning back to their stitching. Just mist and nonsense. But if you walk past the willow grove at twilight, when the sky is purple and the shadows spill like ink, the road bends in a way it shouldn't. And there, in the clearing, you'll see it. The house is tilted slightly to one side, like it's leaning in to listen. Shingles hang loose like old teeth, and long curling vines grip its sides like hands that never let go. The porch steps creak even when no one's on them. The windows don't reflect light, they just stare back. Eloan saw it first when she was 8. She had wandered from her grandfather's orchard, chasing a wind chime sound that rang where no wind blew. She pushed through the trees, her small hands brushing fern and nettle, until she stumbled into a clearing that hadn't been there before. There stood the house. It wasn't frightening, not then. Just, still. Quiet, like it was holding its breath. Eloan stepped forward. The doorknob was cold and smooth, like a river stone. She didn't remember turning it. One moment her hand was hovering, the next, she was inside. The smell hit her first. Not rot or mold, but warmth. Old parchment. A faint scent of lavender. The air inside was soft, like wool. The fire was already lit. She should have run. Eloan blinked in the dim light. The fire crackled low in the hearth, casting long shadows across the wooden floor. The room felt, lived in. There was no dust, no cobwebs in the corners. A woolen blanket lay draped over the arm of a rocking chair, still indented from the weight of someone who must have just risen. The wallpaper, a faded blue with small gold flowers, peeled at the edges but seemed gently cared for. She should have been afraid. But something about the house made her calm. Not safe, never safe, but drowsy, like the lull of warm tea on a rainy day. She wandered forward, her shoes making soft thumps on the pine boards, and touched the armrest of the chair. It was warm. Eloan, a voice whispered. She froze. The voice didn't come from any direction. It was as if the walls themselves had spoken her name, tenderly, like a lullaby long forgotten. Her heart fluttered in her chest like a moth against glass. Eloan, it said again. We've been waiting. The girl turned toward the hallway. A staircase climbed up into the shadows. A second one descended, steep and dark, into what she assumed was a cellar. The house hummed faintly, timbers creaking as if stretching. Somewhere, a grandfather clock ticked softly, even though she hadn't seen one. Something inside her whispered, "Stay. Just a little longer. It'll be all right." Eloan, came a real voice this time, her grandfather's, calling from the orchard, faint but urgent. Her feet turned before her mind did. She ran out the door, past the trees, back into the world of birdsong and sky. When she reached the orchard's edge, the house behind her was gone. Just trees. Just silence. Years passed. And the house waited. Eloan never told anyone about the house. Not because she was afraid, though she was, but because she wasn't sure it had really happened. The way some dreams blur into waking memory, she filed it away as a strange moment from childhood, something half-imagined. A place her mind had conjured between shadows and orchard leaves. Still, sometimes at night, when the wind rose and rattled her windows, she would dream of the house again. It would be there, waiting as always, with the fire burning low and the rocking chair gently creaking back and forth. She would hear her name spoken softly from inside the walls, always kind, never urgent, like someone welcoming her home after a long absence. Time pressed forward. Eloan grew. Her hair turned from tangled auburn curls into sleek black waves. Her fingers lengthened into the hands of an artist. She painted quiet things, forests in fog, doorways half open, flickers of candlelight behind unseen walls. Her teachers praised her sensitivity, her dreamlike vision. She never mentioned the house. But the house had not forgotten her. It had no eyes, yet it watched. It had no hands, yet it held her name. It existed outside of time in the normal way. Days passed differently for it, as they do for things that sleep with one ear open. Seasons drifted like mist beyond its windows, and though years moved swiftly in the world outside, within the house, the fire never died. And when Eloan returned to her village at age 22, after her mother's passing, after the apartment in the city grew too tight, after the dreams had grown louder, she didn't plan to go looking for it. But the road bent in a way it shouldn't. And the trees parted without wind. And there it was. Exactly as it had been. The air grew still as Eloan stepped into the clearing. She wasn't sure how she had found it, only that one moment she'd been walking the old orchard path, and the next, her feet were crunching over brittle pine needles in a place that shouldn't exist. There stood the house. Not a single board had changed. The same slant in the roof. The same crooked porch. The same silence, heavy and close, like the moments between thunder and lightning. A mist clung low to the ground, curling around her ankles like smoke. Somewhere, a wind chime rang once. There was no breeze. Eloan stood at the edge of the porch, staring at the door. Her heart thudded low and deep in her chest. Not panic, not yet, but a quiet warning. The kind you feel in dreams when something is almost wrong. Almost. But not enough to wake you. She reached out. The doorknob was still cold. Still smooth. Still waiting. Click. The door opened without effort. The warmth hit her again, just as she remembered it, lavender, wood smoke, parchment. The fire was burning, already lit. And there, in the center of the room, sat the rocking chair. It was rocking gently, as if someone had just stood up to answer the door. Eloan, the house whispered. Welcome home. She froze. It had been 14 years. No one knew her name here. No one should. But the house did. There was no dust on the floor. No cobwebs in the corners. No sign that the place had been abandoned, not even for a day. It looked lived in. As if someone had left the kettle whistling and would be back any moment. Eloan, the voice came again, this time clearer. Softer. Closer. I remember you. She turned toward the sound. And for the first time, she saw the hallway wasn't empty. A figure stood in the doorway. Tall. Still. Its face hidden by shadow. Eloan, it said. You came back. The figure didn't move. Eloan's breath caught in her throat. Her eyes adjusted to the dimness slowly, straining to make out features. The man stood half in shadow, half behind the frame of the hallway, tall and narrow, with a stillness that didn't feel quite human. His clothes were old, too old. A high-collared coat, sleeves ending just above long pale hands. The air around him shimmered faintly, like heat above a road. She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. Eloan, he said again, and this time the voice was gentle. Not a threat, almost fond. I didn't think you'd return so soon. I didn't mean to come back, she said. Her voice sounded small in the high-ceilinged room. I didn't know this place was even real. His head tilted, slow and bird-like. It was never gone. You simply forgot how to look. The house creaked. Somewhere above, a floorboard shifted like footsteps. Eloan backed up half a step. Who are you? I'm the caretaker, he said. This house needs watching. Tending. Listening. For who? For you, he said simply. Her skin crawled. I should go, she whispered. The man didn't move to stop her. He only looked at her, with eyes like pond water, still, dark, and deep. You can. Of course. But it won't let you far this time. Not now that you've stepped inside again. Eloan turned toward the door. She needed to feel the air again. The orchard. The sound of birds. But the moment her hand touched the knob, she froze. The fire crackled behind her. The windows had fogged. And beyond the door, only darkness. Not the soft blue of twilight, not the faded gold of dusk, just black, as if the world outside had vanished completely. The house sighed. Eloan, the caretaker said. You're already home. Eloan stood frozen before the door. She stared at the blackness beyond the threshold. Unmoving, impenetrable. No stars, no wind, no orchard. Just, nothing. Her hand hovered near the doorknob, not touching it now. She wasn't sure if it was the house that had stolen the outside or if she had stepped into somewhere else entirely. Behind her, the caretaker remained still. She could feel his presence like a weight in the air, patient and unmoving. Like something carved from the bones of the house itself. I don't understand, she murmured. You're not meant to, he said. Yet. She turned slowly. What is this place? The caretaker's eyes softened. It's what remains when everything else forgets. It's where lost things go when the world looks away. He walked past her then, silent as a falling leaf, and moved toward the hall. The house creaked around him like it knew every step. You once left something behind here, Eloan, he said over his shoulder. Now the house wants to return it. She followed without meaning to. The hallway opened before her like a mouth. Its wooden walls seemed taller than they should have been, doors on either side glowing faintly from beneath, soft golden light spilling out into the dark, breathing gently like the rise and fall of a sleeping chest. He led her to one of the doors on the left. It was pale blue, peeling. A brass handle tarnished with age. Open it, he said. She hesitated. What's inside? He tilted his head. A memory. Yours. She reached out, her fingers trembling. The handle was cold. It gave with a soft click. The door creaked open to reveal her childhood bedroom. Her real one. Back in her grandparents' farmhouse. Same crooked bookshelf. Same quilt with the star pattern. Same stuffed rabbit with the torn ear lying on the bed. But the room was here. Inside this house. She stepped forward, dazed. How? The caretaker's voice came gently, the house remembers. She turned. But he was gone. Eloan stepped into the room like a sleepwalker. It smelled of warm cotton and old books. The exact scent of her childhood. The wood floor creaked in all the same places. Her fingers traced the grooves in the bed frame where she used to scratch with a hairpin when she couldn't sleep. There was even the small smear of lavender paint in the corner from when she had tried to redecorate at age 10. This isn't real, she whispered to no one. But the room didn't feel like a copy. It felt like the room. Somehow transported, plucked from time and placed within the house like a pressed flower in a forgotten book. The house hadn't recreated it. It had taken it. Something thumped above her. A slow drag of something heavy across the floorboards. She turned, backing toward the doorway, only to find it gone. The door had disappeared. No frame. No handle. Only smooth wall. No, she breathed. No, 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 a gentle knock sounded behind her. She spun, heart thundering. It wasn't from the wall. Or the door. It came from her old closet. The door was closed. The handle slowly turned. Eloan took a step back, then another, until her legs hit the bed behind her. The closet door creaked open, just an inch. Inside, nothing moved. Only blackness. Eloan, came a soft voice from within. Not the caretaker's. Not hers. It was younger. Fragile. And terrified. Eloan, please let me out. Her throat dried. I don't know who you are, she stammered. What do you want? A long pause. Then. You left me here. The closet door opened wider. Inside, something shifted in the dark. Not a person, not quite. A shadow with arms curled tightly around its knees, face hidden. And when it lifted its head, Eloan felt her body go cold. It was her. Small. Pale. 8 years old. Tears running down her cheeks. You left me here, the child repeated. You said you'd come back. Eloan staggered back, knocking into the side of her dresser. The little girl stepped from the closet, barefoot, her small feet silent against the wooden floor. Her eyes were wide and glassy, the irises too dark. Not a reflection of light in them. Just depth, like looking down a well. I waited, the child said again, voice trembling. Eloan shook her head, unable to speak. You said you'd come back for me, the girl continued, stepping closer. But you didn't. You left me with the voice in the walls. A hot prickle of fear crawled down Eloan's spine. What voice? She whispered. The little girl stopped. Her eyes flicked toward the ceiling. The one that sings when the house is asleep. The one that tells stories backwards. It said I'd forget my name unless I held it in my mouth every night. I did. I whispered it for years. She looked up at Eloan, face still, eyes wet. Eloan. A wave of nausea washed over her. This couldn't be real. This wasn't memory, it was invention. Or illusion. The house was playing tricks, building a puppet from pieces of her childhood. She hadn't left anyone behind. She had left the house. She had walked away. But, had she? The child moved to the bed and sat down, hands in her lap. She was shaking. Are you scared of me? She asked softly. No, Eloan lied. You should be, the girl said. And then she smiled. It was not a child's smile. It stretched too wide. The skin around her cheeks cracked faintly, like old leather. The hair that hung over her shoulders darkened, dripping wet with something like oil. Her fingers lengthened, pale and sharp. You made me from fear, the girl whispered. And the house kept feeding me. Eloan backed to the far wall, her breath shallow. You're not real. The girl stood. I'm what you locked away when you ran. From behind her, the closet door slammed shut with a deafening bang. Then everything went dark. The blackness pressed in on Eloan, thick and suffocating. Her eyes, adjusting after the sudden darkness, caught the faintest shimmer of movement, just beyond the edges of sight. A cold breath brushed her neck. The air was heavy with whispers, voices threading together like a spider's web, pulling tight. Eloan, the voice was everywhere and nowhere, sliding beneath her skin. Come play with us. She tried to move, but her limbs felt heavy, as though the shadows themselves were gripping her. The walls seemed to pulse with the sound of distant laughter, broken and echoing. Footsteps, soft and slow, circling. Eloan, the voice called again. Why did you leave? The little girl's shadow was no longer small. It stretched, tall and twisted, crawling over the walls like black smoke. Her smile was too wide, teeth sharp like shards of glass. Eloan, remember. A sudden flash of light, and Eloan saw faces in the walls. Faces pressed flat, their mouths open in silent screams. Eyes that blinked with desperate hope. They were trapped inside the wood and plaster, whispering secrets. Eloan, come home. The caretaker's voice echoed through the dark, calm and steady. This house does not let go. It collects. It waits. Eloan, you're part of it now. The shadows reached for her. She screamed. Eloan's scream echoed and died, swallowed by the darkness pressing in. Her heart hammered wildly. She clawed at the cold walls, desperate to find solid ground. But the house breathed with her, slow and deep, like a living thing, expanding and contracting, pulsing with unseen life. The shadows tangled around her ankles, cold as the grave. They whispered her name, 1,000 hushed voices threading through the silence. Eloan. 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 Her lungs burned, she gasped for air. Suddenly, a faint glow flickered before her, warm and golden. The caretaker's face emerged, calm and pale in the glow. Do not fight, he said softly. The house is your home now. It remembers you better than you remember yourself. No, she choked out. I don't belong here. He reached out, a gentle hand brushing her cheek. The touch was cool but soothing. Belonging is not a choice, he whispered. It is what the house decides. Behind him, the walls shimmered. Faces formed and faded, lost souls trapped in endless waiting. The rocking chair creaked again, and the fire flickered higher. Eloan's eyes fluttered shut. The warmth seeped into her bones. And somewhere deep inside, the house sighed. Eloan's eyes opened slowly, the warmth of the caretaker's touch still lingering like a faint pulse. The shadows retreated just enough to reveal the room around her, the flickering firelight casting long shapes across the walls. You said belonging isn't a choice, she whispered, voice barely audible. The caretaker nodded, his expression unreadable. The house gathers those it calls, those who carry its memory. It offers comfort and belonging, but at a price. What price? Eloan asked, voice trembling. He gestured toward the fire. To stay, you must forget the world beyond the door. To stay, you must feed the house with your memories and your soul's warmth. She shivered. And if I refuse? The caretaker's eyes darkened just slightly. Then the house lets you leave, but only once. You will carry its shadow forever. And it will wait. Eloan's mind raced. She thought of the life she'd left behind, the city, her art, her mother's voice calling her name. Yet here, in the quiet of this strange, breathing house, those memories felt fragile, like fading embers. A sudden knock at the door startled her. Come in, she called, voice steadier than she felt. The door opened, revealing the little girl from the closet, her own younger self, pale and serious. Eloan, the child said softly, the house is waiting. But it's not too late. Eloan looked between the caretaker and the child. Between the pull of the house and the call of the outside world. The choice lay heavy in the air. Eloan's chest tightened as she stared at the two figures before her. The caretaker, calm and eternal, and the child, fragile yet fierce. I don't want to forget, she whispered. But I don't want to be trapped. The little girl's eyes gleamed. You never really left. You only tried to forget. The house knows your fears, your regrets. It feeds on them. But it also protects what you carry inside. The caretaker stepped closer, voice low and steady. Memory is power. The house can keep you safe. Or it can let you go, if you're willing to lose the past. Eloan sank to the floor, trembling. The fire's glow softened around her, shadows stretching long and warm. I want to remember, she said finally. But not like this. Not trapped in darkness. The house seemed to hold its breath. The caretaker nodded slowly. Then you must give it a story. Your story. Make it part of the house, and the house will carry you. The child smiled faintly. And when you tell your story, the house will sing it back to you. Not as chains, but as song. Eloan closed her eyes. The room melted into quiet. She felt the weight of years, the laughter, the tears, the silent goodbyes, all rising like a tide inside her. She opened her mouth and began to speak. Eloan's voice trembled at first, soft as a whisper. But as she spoke, the room seemed to lean in, waiting. She told the house about the orchard under twilight skies, the scent of a breeze. She spoke of laughter shared on worn porch steps, of whispered secrets with friends long gone. Of the ache when her mother left, and the nights she cried alone, clutching a stuffed rabbit. The walls pulsed gently with each word, the firelight flickering like a heartbeat. The caretaker watched quietly, a faint smile tracing his lips. As Eloan's story unfolded, the shadows softened, retreating like mist at dawn. The little girl beside her nodded, eyes bright with understanding. When Eloan finished, silence stretched, a delicate, trembling silence. Then the house sighed, a sound like wind through ancient trees. The voices in the walls began to hum, a low, melodious chant woven from memory and time. Eloan, the caretaker said softly, you have made the house your own. It will carry your story, not as chains, but as a song. For the first time since entering, Eloan felt warmth spread through her, a fragile hope blossoming amid the shadows. The door reappeared behind her, framed in golden light. You can leave, the caretaker said. Or stay. The choice is yours. Eloan stepped toward the door, feeling the weight of her story lifting like a feather on the breeze. She glanced back once, the child smiled. Then she stepped through. Eloan blinked as the golden light swallowed her whole. When it faded, she was standing at the edge of the orchard, the same one she remembered, but somehow quieter, the air heavy with dusk and forgotten dreams. The trees stretched tall and silent, their branches weaving shadows across the ground. The scent of apples was faint but unmistakable. She took a deep breath, the cool air filling her lungs, steadying her. Home, she whispered. But the orchard felt different now, as if it too remembered the house, its waiting, its songs, its stories. Eloan's fingers brushed a low-hanging apple, smooth and cool. A soft rustling came from the trees. She turned, half expecting to see the caretaker, or the little girl. But the orchard was empty. And yet, in the distance, a faint melody drifted, like a lullaby sung by the wind itself. Eloan smiled softly. The house was no longer behind her, but its story traveled with her, woven into the very breath of the orchard, carried in every shadow and light. She stepped forward, ready to write the next chapter. Eloan wandered slowly through the orchard, each step stirring dry leaves that whispered secrets beneath her feet. The air was thick with twilight, neither day nor night, and shadows stretched long between the trees, folding and unfolding like living things. She paused beneath a gnarled apple tree, its bark cracked and twisted as if it bore the weight of centuries. An apple hung low, glowing faintly in the dusk. Her fingers hesitated, then reached out, brushing the smooth skin. A sudden breeze stirred, carrying a soft murmur that seemed to rise from the ground itself. Eloan. Eloan. The voices called, barely louder than a sigh. She shivered but stood her ground. Who's there? She whispered. The branches swayed gently, and the murmurs grew into words, fragments of old stories, half-forgotten laughter, and distant cries. They say the orchard remembers, a voice said, thin and distant. Eloan's heart quickened. Remembers what? She asked. The wind whispered back, the promises kept, and the ones broken. She closed her eyes, letting the murmurs wash over her like a tide. A sense of peace settled beneath the unease, a fragile balance between memory and forgetting. Eloan, the voices breathed. You carry the house within you now. She opened her eyes, the last light slipping behind the trees. And in the quiet, she knew the orchard was no longer just a place. It was a story waiting to be told. Night settled over the orchard like a soft blanket, muffling the sounds of the world. Eloan sat beneath the gnarled tree, its twisted branches reaching out like ancient arms. The murmurs from before softened, but never fully vanished. They were a constant hum beneath the rustling leaves, a reminder that the past was never truly gone. Eloan, the voice was gentle this time, a single thread woven through the dark. She closed her eyes and let the memories flow, faces and places from her childhood, the pain and joy interlaced like threads in a tapestry. A shadow moved between the trees. Eloan tensed, heart racing. From the darkness stepped a figure, the caretaker, his pale face calm and steady. "You carry the house with you," he said softly. "Not as a prison, but as a part of your story." Eloan looked up at him. "Will it ever let me go?" He smiled faintly. "The house doesn't need to hold you. You carry its song now. It lives in you." She nodded, feeling the weight lift slightly. The orchard seemed to breathe around them, alive with stories whispered on the wind. "Eloan," the caretaker said, "what will your story be?" She smiled, a flicker of hope in her eyes. "Whatever I choose." The sky began to shift, the dark veil of night thinning to reveal the first hints of dawn. Pale pink and soft gold spilled across the horizon, painting the orchard in gentle light. Eloan stood slowly, brushing the dirt from her hands. The cool air was crisp with promise, carrying the scent of dew and new beginnings. The caretaker watched silently, his presence steady but fading like a fading dream. "It's time," he said softly. Eloan turned to him, heart steadying. "I'm ready." He nodded and stepped back into the shadows, his figure dissolving into the trees. As the sun rose, the orchard seemed to awaken with it. Birds called out, leaves shimmered, and the stories that had whispered in the dark now danced in the light. Eloan took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the past and the pull of the future. With each step forward, the orchard song grew stronger, weaving around her like a cloak. She walked toward the rising sun, ready to write the next chapter, one of her own making. Eloan wandered deeper into the orchard, sunlight filtering through the canopy, casting dancing shadows on the earth. The air smelled of fresh grass and blooming flowers, a stark contrast to the heavy darkness she'd left behind. Every step felt lighter, yet the echoes of the house's song hummed softly beneath her skin, a reminder of the past she'd carried and transformed. She paused beside a young sapling, its slender branches reaching skyward. Gently, she placed her hand on its bark. "New roots," she whispered, "new stories." A breeze stirred the leaves, carrying a faint whisper. "Remember, but don't be bound." Eloan smiled softly. The orchard wasn't just a place of endings, it was a place for beginnings. Turning toward the horizon, she felt a quiet strength grow inside her. A promise that whatever came next, she would face it on her own terms. The house, the shadows, the memories, they were all part of her story, but they did not define her. With a deep breath, Eloan stepped forward. The future awaited. The orchard stretched endlessly beneath the rising sun, golden light spilling through every leaf and branch. Eloan felt the warmth like a balm on her skin, steadying her. She paused by a clearing, where wildflowers nodded gently in the breeze. The caretaker's voice echoed in her mind, calm, patient, always present. "You carry the house with you." She smiled faintly. Not as a burden, but as a quiet strength. Turning slowly, she looked back toward where the house had once stood, only now, a shimmer in the distance, fading like a dream. The shadows were gone. The waiting was over. "Eloan," a soft voice called, the little girl from the closet, now a memory, a guide. "Thank you." And with that, the orchard held its breath, the wind whispering a gentle goodbye. Eloan stepped forward, her heart open, ready to face the world beyond the trees. The story was hers now. Eloan walked through the orchard one last time, sunlight filtering through the leaves like gold dust. The air was alive with the soft hum of life, birdsong, rustling branches, and the distant buzz of bees. She breathed deeply, feeling the cool earth beneath her feet, solid and real. The house was no longer behind her. Its story had become hers, woven into the fabric of her being. Ahead, the path stretched open, bright and inviting. Her fingers brushed a fallen leaf, delicate and alive. "Thank you," she whispered, "to the house, to the shadows, to the memories that shaped her." With steady steps, she moved forward. The past was a story told. The future was hers to write. And in the quiet orchard, under the wide blue sky, Eloan began again. In a quiet village nestled between rolling hills and the shimmering expanse of a vast lake, the air held a peaceful stillness that seemed untouched by time. The small homes, with their wooden beams and thatched roofs, gathered closely like old friends, their chimneys puffing thin trails of smoke that blended with the cool morning mist. The villagers lived simply, their days marked by the rhythm of nature, the rising sun, the changing seasons, and the moon's steady journey across the night sky. But there was one story that no one ever tired of telling, the tale of the lantern that appeared on the lake every full moon, glowing softly with a golden light, said to guide lost souls back home. Old Mavis, the village storyteller, often sat by the hearth, her voice low and warm as she wove the legend for eager children. "The lantern," she'd say, "is no ordinary light. It is the kindness of the lake itself, a beacon for those who wander in darkness, lost between worlds." Most dismissed it as a comforting tale, a lullaby for restless minds. But to Lena, a young woman with wide eyes and a restless spirit, the story stirred something deeper. She had grown up hearing the whispers, wondering what it would be like to follow the lantern's glow, to see where it led. One evening, as the full moon rose heavy and round, Lena stood on the doorstep of her modest cottage. The cool autumn breeze teased her hair, and the scent of damp earth and pine filled the air. She pulled her shawl tighter around her shoulders and looked toward the lake, where the water stretched out dark and still beneath the moonlight. Her heart quickened with a mixture of anticipation and something she couldn't quite name. Tonight, she decided, she would find the lantern. "I'll be careful," she whispered to the night. "Just a little walk by the water." Her footsteps were soft against the moss-covered path as she made her way toward the lake. The village was quiet, windows glowing faintly with candlelight, the only sounds the distant hoot of an owl and the rustling of leaves. As she neared the shoreline, a faint glow flickered far across the water, like a star that had come to rest on the lake's surface. Lena stopped, breath catching, her eyes wide. The lantern. It was smaller than she had imagined, its light gentle and steady, casting a golden circle that shimmered on the gentle waves. "Hello?" she called softly, unsure if she expected an answer. The lantern bobbed slightly, as if in response. Lena stepped closer, the cold air brushing her cheeks. Her heart was full of questions, but also of a quiet hope. Could the stories be true? She didn't know yet. But as the moon climbed higher, the lantern's glow seemed to promise a journey she would never forget. Lena stood by the lake's edge, the soft glow of the lantern reflecting in her wide eyes. The cool water lapped gently against the shore, and the breeze carried the delicate scent of fallen leaves and damp moss. Around her, the village was a silent silhouette beneath the shimmering moonlight. "Should I follow it?" she whispered to herself, her voice barely more than a breath. A sudden ripple disturbed the water, and the lantern bobbed as if beckoning her onward. It wasn't just a light, it felt alive, a living thing, pulsing with warmth and quiet purpose. Lena hesitated only a moment before taking a step forward. Her feet sank slightly into the soft earth as she moved along the shoreline, eyes fixed on the glowing orb. The path twisted through the trees, their branches reaching out like ancient fingers against the night sky. Shadows danced, but they did not frighten her, the lantern's golden light softened every edge, creating a safe passage through the dark. As she walked, memories drifted to her mind. Stories her grandmother told of those who had once followed the lantern and found peace in unexpected places. She remembered the gentle smile of old Mavis, who always said, "The lantern shows you what you need to see," not always what you want. The thought comforted her as the glow grew brighter, illuminating a small clearing ahead. There, by the water's edge, rested an old wooden boat, its paint faded and chipped but still sturdy. Lena approached cautiously, heart pounding with wonder. The lantern hovered just above the bow, its light steady and inviting. A voice whispered through the rustling leaves, a voice soft as the night breeze. "Come," it said. "Let the lantern guide you." Her hands trembled slightly as she reached out to touch the lantern's warm glow. It felt like a gentle pulse, a heartbeat in the cool night. "I'm ready," she breathed. With that, Lena stepped into the boat. The wood creaked softly beneath her feet as the boat gently drifted away from the shore. The lake stretched out endlessly, silvered by moonlight, the world around her hushed and still. The lantern floated ahead, its golden light casting long reflections on the water's surface. Lena's heart beat steadily, a mix of fear and calm washing over her. "Where will you take me?" she wondered aloud. The only answer was the soft ripple of water and the steady glow lighting her way. The boat drifted silently over the glassy surface of the lake, carrying Lena deeper into the quiet heart of the night. The only sound was the gentle splash of water against the wooden hull and the soft hum of the lantern's golden glow. Lena wrapped her shawl tighter around her shoulders, watching the stars twinkle overhead. The world felt suspended, between dreams and waking, between mystery and peace. She leaned forward, her fingers trailing just above the water, feeling the coolness ripple beneath her touch. "Why does the lantern guide me?" she wondered aloud, voice barely breaking the silence. The lantern bobbed gently, as if acknowledging her question, but offered no answer. Lena closed her eyes for a moment, letting the stillness settle inside her. She felt a calm she hadn't known before, like the world was holding its breath with her. Suddenly, a soft voice whispered through the air, carried on the breeze. "Sometimes, the light leads not to a place, but to a feeling," it said. Lena opened her eyes and looked toward the lantern's glow, which seemed to brighten slightly. "I want to understand," she murmured. The boat drifted on, taking her toward the horizon where the water met the sky in a silver line. As the minutes stretched into what felt like hours, Lena thought about the stories she had heard as a child, the lost travelers, the lonely souls who had found their way home by following the lantern's light. Was this journey hers to find? Or was it something deeper, a chance to discover herself? The boat moved steadily forward, the lantern's glow unwavering, a steady beacon in the vast, quiet night. The boat continued to glide silently over the lake, the wooden frame creaking softly with each gentle movement. Lena's eyes were fixed on the horizon, where a faint mist began to rise, curling upward like wisps of smoke from a distant fire. The lantern's golden light seemed to grow stronger as the mist thickened, casting an ethereal glow that transformed the world into something otherworldly. As the mist wrapped around the boat, Lena felt a chill crawl up her spine, but the warmth from the lantern in front of her was a comforting contrast. She reached out and gently touched the water's surface, feeling it ripple cool and alive beneath her fingertips. The voice from before whispered again, barely audible over the soft lapping of water. "The mist guards the passage. Few have ventured beyond it." Lena swallowed hard but nodded to herself. "I want to see what's on the other side." The mist thickened, and soon the world around her vanished into a pearly haze. Shapes blurred into shadows, and the familiar stars overhead disappeared, swallowed by the misty veil. Lena's heart pounded louder now, not with fear, but with excitement. She was crossing a threshold, entering a place unknown. Suddenly, a figure appeared in the mist, stepping lightly onto the water's surface as if walking on air. The figure was cloaked in a dark robe, the hood shadowing their face, but the lantern in their hand shone with the same golden light as the one before her. "Who are you?" Lena asked, her voice trembling. The figure paused and spoke softly, "I am a keeper of the light, a guide for those who seek the path." "You have come far, Lena. How do you know my name?" "Names are carried on the winds of this place," the keeper replied. "The lantern brought you here for a reason." Lena felt a sudden wave of questions bubbling up inside her, but the keeper raised a gloved hand gently, signaling for patience. "Follow the lantern," the keeper said, stepping back. "There is much to learn beyond the mist." As the figure disappeared slowly into the haze, the lantern's glow brightened once more, leading Lena deeper into the unknown, where secrets waited patiently to be revealed. The boat slipped silently through the thick mist, guided only by the steady, golden glow of the lantern that hovered just ahead. The world was reduced to muted shadows and soft murmurs, the water around Lena barely rippling beneath the boat's gentle motion. As the mist began to thin, shapes took form, twisted trees, their branches like tangled fingers reaching out from the shadows. The lake's edge dissolved into a dense forest, dark and ancient, whispering secrets in the night. Lena's breath caught in her throat as the boat touched the shore, the wood scraping softly against the pebbled bank. She stepped out, the cool earth beneath her feet solid but strange, unfamiliar. The forest seemed alive, the trees swaying with a breeze Lena couldn't feel. Leaves rustled above, and distant whispers floated through the air, too soft to catch fully. "Welcome to the Whispering Woods," the voice from the lantern said, now clearly coming from within the glowing orb itself. Lena glanced down, startled. "You can speak?" "Yes. I have many stories to tell," the lantern replied. "But first, you must listen." She took a hesitant step forward, the forest scent, earthy and wild, filling her senses. "Why am I here?" Lena asked, voice barely above a whisper. "To find what you have lost, and to face what you fear," the lantern said, its light pulsing gently. As she moved deeper into the woods, shadows flickered at the edges of her vision, glimpses of faces, shapes that disappeared when looked at directly. "Are they spirits?" she asked. "Fragments of memories, echoes of those who once walked this path," the lantern answered. Lena felt a shiver run down her spine but pressed onward, drawn by a strange mixture of dread and hope. Suddenly, a figure stepped from behind a tree, a young boy, pale and trembling, eyes wide with fear. "Who are you?" Lena asked softly. "I'm lost," he whispered. "I can't find my way home." Lena knelt beside him. "Then we'll find it together." The lantern's glow brightened, casting warm light over the two figures as the whispering woods held its breath, waiting to reveal the next chapter of their journey. Lena took the boy's hand, feeling the tremble in his grip. His eyes were wide with fear, but there was a flicker of hope as he followed her deeper into the whispering woods. The trees loomed taller here, their twisted branches blotting out the moonlight, casting long, eerie shadows across the forest floor. "Do you remember your name?" Lena asked gently. The boy shook his head, his voice barely audible. "I don't. I just woke up here." Lena's heart ached at his confusion. "We'll figure this out. I promise." The lantern's glow pulsed softly, illuminating a narrow path winding through the dense trees. As they walked, whispers floated around them, soft, unintelligible murmurs that sent chills down Lena's spine. "Those are the voices of the lost," the lantern explained. "They linger here, caught between worlds." "Why?" Lena asked. "Because they have unfinished stories, fears they never faced, or things they never said." A sudden rustle in the underbrush made Lena freeze. From the shadows emerged a tall figure, draped in tattered robes, face hidden beneath a deep hood. His presence was both commanding and unsettling. "Who are you?" Lena asked, stepping protectively in front of the boy. The figure's voice was a low rumble. "I am the Keeper of Shadows. I watch over this place and the souls within it." The lantern flickered nervously. "He is not your enemy, but his patience wears thin." Lena swallowed hard. "We seek to find the way out." The keeper nodded slowly. "To leave, you must confront the darkness within yourselves. Only then will the path reveal itself." Fear and determination warred inside Lena. She tightened her grip on the boy's hand and took a deep breath. "Then we'll face it," she said firmly. The keeper stepped aside, revealing a narrow tunnel carved into the earth, its entrance swallowed by creeping vines and darkness. Beyond lies the test, he warned. Be brave, or be lost forever. With the lantern lighting their way, Lena and the boy stepped forward into the unknown, ready to uncover the secrets hidden in the shadows. The tunnel's entrance swallowed Lena and the boy into a cold, oppressive darkness. The faint glow from the lantern stretched just ahead, casting long, flickering shadows on the damp walls. The air was thick and musty, filled with the scent of earth and something older, something almost forgotten. Lena's heart pounded as she took cautious steps deeper inside. The boy clung tightly to her hand, his small fingers trembling but determined. Are you ready? Lena whispered, mostly to herself. The lantern pulsed warmly, as if offering reassurance. The narrow tunnel twisted and turned, each step echoing softly. Strange whispers slithered through the air, soft voices repeating fears and regrets, long buried in the depths of Lena's mind. Suddenly, the tunnel opened into a small chamber. The walls shimmered with faint, ghostly images, scenes from the past, moments frozen in time. Lena saw herself as a child, hiding in the attic during a thunderstorm, trembling from fear she never told anyone about. She saw the night she lost her mother, and the sorrow she buried deep inside. Tears welled in her eyes. The boy gasped beside her, pointing at the images flickering on the wall. I remember this, but I don't understand, he said softly. The lantern's voice filled the chamber. These memories hold your truth. To move forward, you must face them honestly. Lena wiped her tears, her voice steady. I'm scared, but I want to be brave. The images shifted, showing her fear transform into light, her younger self taking a deep breath, stepping out from hiding. The boy watched closely, then nodded. I think I'm ready too. Together, they stepped deeper into the chamber, embracing the light and shadows of their pasts. The lantern's glow grew stronger, illuminating the way to whatever lay beyond the tunnel of truth. Emerging from the tunnel, Lena and the boy found themselves in a vast clearing at the heart of the forest. The trees here were ancient and towering, their branches stretching skyward like cathedral arches. Moonlight filtered softly through the leaves, mingling with the warm glow of the lantern, which now floated steadily ahead. The air was filled with the scent of wildflowers and damp earth, but an uneasy silence hung over the clearing. Lena felt the weight of the forest's watchful gaze, something alive and old observing their every move. We made it, the boy whispered, eyes wide as he looked around. Yes, Lena replied, but her voice was cautious. But I have a feeling we're not alone. The lantern pulsed gently, its light casting long shadows that seemed to twist and move on their own. From the edge of the clearing, a soft rustling grew louder, and shapes began to emerge, figures cloaked in darkness, their faces obscured by hoods and shifting shadows. One stepped forward, a woman with eyes like glowing embers. Her voice was both soothing and commanding. Welcome to the heart of the forest. Few have come this far. Lena swallowed hard, gripping the boy's hand tightly. Why have we come here? She asked. To find what was lost and to make peace with what remains, the woman replied. The forest reveals the truth to those who seek it, but it also tests the strength of their hearts. Lena glanced at the boy, seeing the determination mirrored in his eyes. We're ready, she said firmly. The woman nodded slowly and extended a hand. Then stepped forward and faced the forest's challenge. As Lena and the boy moved into the clearing center, the lantern's light grew blindingly bright. The ancient trees seemed to lean in closer, their whispers swelling into a chorus of voices, voices from the past, present, and future, calling out truths that only the brave could hear. Lena took a deep breath, preparing herself for whatever lay ahead, knowing this moment could change everything. As Lena and the boy stood in the clearing, the glow from the lantern enveloped them in a warm light that seemed to pulse in rhythm with their hearts. The woman with glowing eyes stepped closer, her voice calm yet filled with gravity. To face the forest's challenge, she said, you must each confront your deepest fears and regrets. Only by accepting them can you move forward. Lena's throat tightened. She thought of her mother's sudden departure, the guilt she carried, the moments left unsaid. She glanced at the boy, whose face was pale but resolute. The woman raised her hand, and suddenly the clearing shifted. The trees seemed to dissolve, replaced by a swirling mist that enveloped Lena. She found herself alone, standing on the edge of a dark abyss. From the darkness, whispers began, faint voices repeating harsh words she had heard before. You should have been stronger. You failed her. Lena's breath caught, tears welling in her eyes. No, she whispered fiercely. I did what I could. I'm not defined by your words. The whispers grew louder, but Lena stood firm, stepping forward toward a faint light shining in the distance. As she moved, the voices faded, replaced by memories of love, laughter, and moments she had cherished. The mist cleared, and Lena found herself back in the clearing, heart pounding but lighter. Next, the boy stepped forward, his eyes shining with a mix of fear and hope. The mist enveloped him, revealing shadows from his forgotten past. Faces he couldn't recognize, places he couldn't remember, but feelings of loneliness and loss overwhelmed him. He clenched his fists, whispering, I'm not alone anymore. The mist faded, and the boy returned to Lena's side. The woman smiled softly. You have both faced your hearts. The path forward is now open. The lantern's glow expanded, revealing a narrow trail leading deeper into the forest. Lena looked at the boy and nodded. Together, they stepped onto the path, ready for the next part of their journey. The narrow trail ahead wound deeper into the forest, the trees closing in as if to guard the secrets that lay beyond. The lantern floated just ahead, casting a steady golden light that cut through the shadows. Lena and the boy walked side by side, their footsteps muffled by the thick carpet of leaves and moss beneath them. The air was heavy with silence, broken only by distant, echoing sounds that seemed to follow their every step. Lena's heart raced, not from fear, but from the grew louder, morphing into faint conversations, laughter, and tears. Lena recognized some of the voices, friends she'd lost touch with, moments from her childhood, fragments of forgotten dreams. Suddenly, a familiar voice called her name, soft and urgent. Lena. She stopped, turning toward the sound. The boy looked to her, eyes wide. Go, the lantern urged gently. Listen closely. Lena stepped off the path, following the voice through the trees. The echoes grew clearer, a conversation between her and her mother, full of warmth and love. I'm here, Lena whispered, tears streaming down her face. The voice smiled. Always, my dear. You carry me within you. The echoes faded, replaced by the quiet rustle of leaves. Lena returned to the path, feeling a peace she hadn't known in years. The boy looked at her with a shy smile. I think I heard someone too. Together, they continued down the path of echoes, the lantern's light guiding them toward the next chapter of their journey through the enchanted forest. The path of echoes gradually opened into a wide glade bathed in silver moonlight. At its center stood a towering stone archway, covered in ancient runes that pulsed faintly with blue light. Lena felt a chill as she stepped closer, the air around her growing heavy with anticipation. The lantern hovered near the arch, its glow steady but dimmer than before. Suddenly, a deep voice echoed from the shadows. To pass beyond, you must face the Guardian's test, it rumbled. From behind the arch stepped a figure clad in gleaming armor, eyes like stars burning bright in the darkness. Lena took a breath, gripping the boy's hand tightly. What kind of test? The Guardian's gaze softened slightly. One of courage and truth. Speak your fears aloud, and prove your resolve. Lena stepped forward. I fear losing those I love. I fear that I am not strong enough to protect them. The Guardian nodded. Acknowledging your fears is the first step toward conquering them. The boy's voice trembled but grew firm. I fear being forgotten, lost in the shadows forever. The guardian smiled gently. Your courage shines brighter than the darkest night. With a wave of his hand, the runes on the arch blazed brilliantly, illuminating a path through the trees beyond. You have passed the test, the guardian declared. Continue forward, for the forest's heart awaits. Lena and the boy exchanged determined glances and stepped through the archway, ready to face whatever secrets the forest still held. Beyond the glowing archway, the trees thinned, revealing a tranquil lake at the center of the forest. The water was still, reflecting the star-studded sky and the soft light of the lantern hovering beside Lena. The boy gasped softly. It's beautiful. Lena nodded, mesmerized by the peaceful scene after the trials they had faced. But the silence felt heavy, as if the lake itself was waiting, watching. The lantern pulsed brighter. This is the heart of the forest. The place where lost things can be found and where truth is laid bare. Lena stepped closer to the water's edge, peering into the dark surface. Slowly, images began to form beneath the ripples, faces, memories, moments she had long forgotten. Suddenly, the water shimmered, and a figure emerged, a woman with kind eyes and a gentle smile. Lena's breath caught. Mother, she whispered. The woman nodded, reaching out through the shimmering water. I have always been with you. Tears streamed down Lena's face as she felt a warmth spreading through her chest, a healing she had yearned for. The boy looked up, his eyes shining with hope. Maybe we can find what we're searching for here. Together, they stood at the lake's edge, the lantern's light casting a golden glow over the water, as the forest's heart whispered promises of peace and new beginnings. Lena lingered by the lake, the image of her mother slowly fading into the shimmering water. The warmth in her chest grew steady, a quiet strength replacing the ache she had carried for so long. The boy stood beside her, eyes filled with wonder and a newfound calm. The forest, it's healing, he said softly. The lantern's glow brightened, bathing them both in a soft golden light. Healing comes to those who face their past with courage, it said. But the journey is not yet over. A gentle breeze stirred the trees, and Lena noticed the first hints of dawn glowing on the horizon. The night was slowly giving way to morning, the promise of a new day filling the air with hope. Shall we continue? Lena asked the boy, her voice steady and warm. He nodded, smiling. Together. As they walked away from the lake, the forest seemed to breathe with them, its shadows softening, its whispers turning into songs of birds waking. The lantern floated ahead, its light a beacon guiding them toward the path home, a path brighter than any they had walked before. And as the sun rose, the forest held its breath, ready to let them go, but never forgetting the courage it had witnessed. The journey through the lantern by the lake was far from over, but for now, peace settled gently over their hearts. The dawn light filtered softly through the trees as Lena and the boy began their journey back along the winding path. The forest, once dark and foreboding, now felt alive with gentle sounds, birdsong, rustling leaves, and the soft trickle of a nearby stream. The lantern's glow was steady, guiding their steps as the boy looked around with curious eyes. Do you think we'll ever forget this place? He asked quietly. Lena smiled gently. I don't think we're meant to forget. The forest is a part of us now, its lessons, its stories. As they walked, Lena shared stories from her childhood, tales of bravery, loss, and love, hoping to remind the boy that even in the darkest moments, light can be found. Suddenly, a small fox darted across their path, its amber eyes reflecting the lantern's glow. It paused, then disappeared into the underbrush, leaving behind a sense of comfort and connection. The boy grinned. Maybe that was a sign. Lena nodded. A sign that we're never truly alone. Together, they continued along the path, the morning light growing stronger, promising a new beginning as the forest whispered its final goodbye. The path stretched onward, bathed now in full morning light. Birds flitted between branches, their songs weaving a gentle melody that filled the air. The boy's steps grew lighter with each stride, the weight of fear lifted by the journey they had shared. Lena glanced at the lantern, its glow softer now, as if ready to rest. "We're almost home," she whispered. The boy looked up at her, eyes bright with gratitude. "Thank you, for not giving up on me." Lena squeezed his hand. "We didn't give up on each other." As they reached the edge of the forest, the trees parted, revealing the familiar landscape beyond, the calm lake reflecting the early sun, the cozy village nestled nearby. The lantern hovered one last time between them, then slowly dimmed, its light fading like a gentle farewell. "Remember," it said softly, "the light is always within you." With a final pulse, the lantern vanished, leaving Lena and the boy standing under the clear sky, ready to face the days ahead with courage and hope. The forest had shared its secrets, and now their story was only just beginning. Lena and the boy stepped out of the forest's embrace and into the warmth of the morning sun. The village lay peaceful ahead, its cobblestone streets and small homes bathed in golden light. Birds sang from rooftops, and a gentle breeze carried the scent of blooming flowers. The boy looked around with wonder, a smile spreading across his face. "It feels different here, like I'm seeing everything for the first time." Lena nodded. "That's because you've changed. The forest showed us what was hidden inside." They walked toward the village center, where familiar faces greeted them with surprised smiles and warm embraces. Lena felt the heaviness she'd carried begin to lift further, replaced by a growing sense of belonging. That evening, beneath a sky full of stars, Lena and the boys sat by the lake's edge. The water mirrored the night's calm, and the world felt peaceful, yet full of endless possibilities. "We made it," the boy said softly. "Yes," Lena replied, "and this is just the beginning." Together, they watched the flickering lights of fireflies dance over the water, a quiet reminder that even after the darkest night, light returns. Their journey through the lantern by the lake had changed them forever, and as they closed their eyes to rest, the promise of tomorrow held them gently in its embrace. Days passed in the village, but Lena felt the forest's presence linger in her heart. The boy, too, seemed changed, quieter, more thoughtful. One evening, as twilight painted the sky in hues of purple and gold, Lena heard a faint whisper carried on the wind. "Lena." She turned, but saw only the gentle sway of trees and the flicker of candlelight from nearby homes. The boy approached, sensing her unease. "What is it?" he asked softly. "I think the forest isn't finished with us yet," she replied, her voice trembling slightly. That night, she dreamed of the lantern, its golden light flickering in the dark, and a voice urging her to listen closely. When she awoke, Lena knew their journey had left echoes that would guide them still. Together, they decided to visit the lake again, seeking answers in its reflective depths. As they approached, the water shimmered, revealing faint images, scenes from the past, moments of courage and loss intertwined. Lena reached out, feeling the cool mist brush her fingers. "We carry these memories with us," she whispered. "They shape who we are." The boy nodded. "And they help us find the strength to move forward." Beneath the starlit sky, by the quiet lake, Lena and the boy embraced the echoes of their past, ready to face whatever the future might hold. The night air was cool and still as Lena and the boy sat silently by the lake, the water's surface reflecting the stars like scattered diamonds. The forest around them seemed to hold its breath, as if waiting for something to unfold. A soft breeze stirred the leaves, carrying with it a faint whisper, barely audible, but unmistakably a voice. "Follow the light." Lena's heart quickened. "Did you hear that?" The boy nodded, eyes shining with curiosity and a hint of nervousness. "It's the forest, isn't it?" "Yes," Lena replied, standing slowly. "There's something more we need to discover." The lantern, now faint but still glowing, floated gently in front of them, guiding their path toward a hidden trail at the edge of the lake. As they walked, the whispers grew clearer, snippets of forgotten stories, fragments of ancient songs, and the soft rustle of leaves weaving through time. The trail led them deeper into the forest than before, where shadows danced and the air shimmered with magic. Lena tightened her grip on the boy's hand. Whatever lies ahead, we face it together. The lantern flickered brightly, lighting their way as they stepped into the unknown, hearts full of hope and courage. The hidden trail wound deeper into the heart of the forest, the canopy thickening overhead until the world was cloaked in shadow. The lantern's glow was the only steady light, casting long, wavering shapes on the ancient trunks that surrounded them. Lena's footsteps were soft on the mossy ground, the boy close beside her, their breaths mingling in the cool, damp air. Suddenly, the lantern pulsed sharply, illuminating a small clearing ahead where a stone pedestal stood covered in intricate carvings. Curious, Lena approached and traced the symbols with her fingers. The carvings depicted scenes of people gathering, dancing, and lighting lanterns just like theirs, an age-old ritual of hope and protection. As her fingers brushed the last symbol, the ground beneath the pedestal trembled slightly, and a hidden compartment slowly slid open, revealing a small, ancient scroll wrapped in delicate cloth. The boy looked at her with wide eyes. "What do you think it says?" Lena carefully unwrapped the scroll, the parchment fragile but the ink still clear. As she read aloud, the words spoke of a promise. The lantern's light was a guardian, a beacon for lost souls seeking peace. "We're part of something much bigger than we realized," Lena whispered. The forest around them seemed to hum softly, as if acknowledging the truth. With renewed purpose, they tucked the scroll safely away and prepared to follow the lantern's next guidance, ready to uncover the deeper secrets hidden beneath the trees. As Lena and the boy stepped away from the ancient pedestal, a sudden chill crept through the air. The forest seemed to darken, the shadows lengthening and twisting into strange, unfamiliar shapes. The lantern's light flickered uncertainly, struggling to hold back the growing darkness. "Something's coming," the boy whispered, clutching Lena's hand tightly. She nodded, scanning the encroaching shadows. "We have to be brave. The forest is testing us again." From the depths of the trees emerged figures cloaked in shadow, their forms shifting and indistinct. But their eyes glowed with an eerie light, watching, waiting. Lena took a deep breath, stepping forward. "We mean no harm. We seek only to understand and protect." The shadows hesitated, then slowly receded, their eyes softening into acceptance. The lantern brightened, casting a warm glow that pushed back the darkness and revealed a hidden path ahead. "Your courage has opened the way," the lantern said gently. "But be warned. More trials await." Together, Lena and the boy moved forward, hearts steady, ready to face the gathering shadows and the mysteries that still lay ahead. The hidden path led Lena and the boy into a secluded part of the forest known as the Whispering Grove. The trees here were ancient, their branches entwined to form a vaulted canopy that muffled all sound except the soft rustle of leaves. As they walked deeper, faint voices seemed to drift on the breeze, whispers of forgotten secrets and long-lost dreams. The boy shivered. "It feels like the forest is talking." Lena nodded, her eyes scanning the shadows. "It is. The grove remembers everything." Suddenly, a gentle glow emerged from within the trees, a circle of delicate, shimmering lights floating in the air like tiny stars. "These are the spirits of the forest," the lantern explained. "They guard the memories and guide those who listen." The spirits danced around Lena and the boy, their ethereal forms radiating warmth and peace. Lena closed her eyes, letting the whispers wash over her. Memories of love, loss, courage, and hope filled her mind, knitting together the fragments of her past. The boy smiled softly. "I think they're telling us it's okay to be afraid, but not to let fear control us." With renewed strength and the spirit's blessing, Lena and the boy prepared to continue their journey, ready to face whatever mysteries the forest still held, their hearts lightened by the whispers of the grove. Guided by the lantern's gentle light, Lena and the boy left the Whispering Grove and stepped onto a narrow, winding trail barely visible beneath a thick carpet of fallen leaves. The Forgotten Path, as the lantern called it, was said to lead to places lost in time, places where memories waited to be reclaimed. As they moved forward, the air grew cooler, and the forest quieted, as if holding its breath. Shadows flickered at the edges of their vision, but the lantern's steady glow pushed back the darkness. The boy looked up nervously. "Do you think we're really ready for what's ahead?" Lena smiled reassuringly. "We have to be. Every step we take brings us closer to understanding, and to healing." Suddenly, the trail opened into a small clearing where a single, ancient tree stood, its bark twisted and gnarled, its roots curling deep into the earth. The lantern pulsed softly, and Lena reached out to touch the tree's rough surface. A warmth spread through her hand, and images flooded her mind, memories she had long forgotten, moments of joy and sorrow intertwined. "This tree holds the past," the lantern said softly. "It is a gateway to what was lost and a beacon for what must be found." With hearts full of courage and eyes wide with wonder, Lena and the boy prepared to step through the portal, into the depths of their own stories, where answers and truths awaited. Lena's fingers traced the rough bark of the ancient tree, feeling the warmth pulse beneath her touch like a heartbeat. The boy stood close, watching with wide eyes as the surface shimmered, blurring like a reflection in rippling water. "Are you ready?" Lena asked softly. He nodded, taking a deep breath. Together. Slowly, they stepped forward, and the world around them shifted. The forest dissolved into a swirl of colors and sounds, then reformed into a vivid scene from the past. They stood in a sunlit meadow, the air fragrant with wildflowers and the distant hum of bees. In the distance, Lena saw a younger version of herself, laughing with a small group of friends beneath the open sky. Tears pricked at her eyes. "I remember this day." The boy looked around, amazed. "It's like we're inside your memories." As they walked through the scene, Lena saw moments both joyful and painful, the love she had lost, the dreams she had buried, the fears she had hidden away. The lantern hovered nearby, its light steady and reassuring. "Facing the past is the first step to healing," it said gently. "But beware. The memories can be both a refuge and a challenge." Together, Lena and the boy moved forward, ready to embrace the truths that lay hidden in the folds of time. As Lena and the boy wandered through the vivid memories, the sunlit meadow slowly darkened. The bright colors faded, replaced by muted grays and shadows stretching long and thin. Lena's heart tightened as a figure emerged from the darkness, a tall, silent presence with eyes that seemed to pierce through her soul. "It's the shadow of my fear," Lena whispered. The boy stepped beside her, his voice steady. "We face it together." The shadow moved closer, its cold presence sending a chill through the air. Lena's mind flooded with doubts and regrets, memories of times she had felt alone and powerless. But then the lantern's light flared brightly, pushing back the darkness. "You hold the power to face your fears," it said firmly. Drawing strength from the boy's hand in hers and the lantern's steady glow, Lena stood tall. "I am not afraid," she declared, her voice growing stronger. The shadow hesitated, then slowly dissolved into the mist, leaving behind a quiet peace. The meadow brightened once more, and Lena knew she had taken another vital step on her journey, a step toward reclaiming her strength and her light. With the shadows of memory fading, Lena and the boy found themselves drawn deeper into the glowing landscape of the past. The colors returned, richer and more vibrant than before, as if the forest itself was breathing new life into their journey. Ahead, a towering tree with luminous leaves stood at the center of a vast clearing, the heart of the forest. Its branches stretched wide, pulsing gently with the same warm light as the lantern. "This is the source," the lantern whispered. "The place where hope begins and fear ends." Lena approached reverently, feeling the tree's energy hum beneath her fingertips. The boy reached out, his eyes reflecting the glowing leaves. Together, they touched the tree, and a wave of warmth spread through their bodies, filling every corner of their hearts. Visions of new beginnings, forgiveness, and endless possibilities bloomed before them. "We're not just survivors," Lena said softly. "We're the keepers of this light." The boy smiled, hope shining in his eyes. "And we'll carry it wherever we go." As the lantern's glow enveloped them, Lena and the boy understood that their journey was far from over, but with the heart of the forest within them, they were ready for whatever came next.